For billions of years, our planet has been revolving around the Sun, and maybe the only one where life exists. Humanity scrupulously reflects the surrounding world in art, music, and in figures, attempting to define every feature. We have even calculated the distance between the Earth and the Sun. Having changed the world in the way that we can see it today, and divided the planet with borders between countries, we still don't know how to measure what we have today. At the end of the 20th century, a new state appeared on the world map, the Republic of Kazakhstan, a bridge between Europe and Asia. People lived here for thousands of years, and over the centuries gathered knowledge and created their own unique culture. This film is about the people who live on this land. Through the lives of our characters, we can see the Kazakhstan that is held by them in their hearts. A new dawn is breaking, and the pace of the country is being set by the new capital, Astana. Today we're going to live one day from the life of the country in order to find out what people in Kazakhstan regard as their main asset. Energy. Ekibastuz is the center of Kazakhstan's power generation. The world's largest open-pit coal mine is Bogatyr, which is in the Guinness Book of Records. Each year, 42 million tons of coal is extracted here. 11 power stations and a number of industries in Kazakhstan operate using this fuel. During the last 20 years, the technology of coal mining has been completely modified here. Heavy machines operate effective processes controlled by people. The team supervisor, Kanlibai Umbertaliyev, has been working here since the very first day. Bogatyr is his life.
During the
Soviet Union, there was talk of renaming Ekibastuz as Energograd. Although the original name of the town wasn't changed, I think that because of its rich coal resources, Ekibastuz can be said to be a true Energograd. Because there is coal nearby, there's no need to transport it, as it's easier to generate power here and transport the power rather than the coal. This is the feature of this coalfield, and there are still enough reserves for many years ahead. I'm from the Zhambyl region. When I returned from military service, they started the exploration of the Ekibastuz coalfield. I heard about this great construction that involved young people from all over the Union, and I came here. I started as an excavator's assistant, and then I became an excavator driver, then a driver electrician. Later I was appointed as a supervisor. We have great people working here, and just like everywhere in Kazakhstan, there are many nationalities. I started a family here in Ekibastuz too, got married, and, as we say, put down my roots. Our son was born and he grew up here, so he is a native of Ekibastuz. He finished the intermediate school and entered the Agro-Technical University in Astana to study programming. I believe that confidence in the future of Kazakhstan stems from the future of businesses. For this reason, I'm confident in the future of my company, my town, and my country. Technology. Energy is embodied in high technology, Azia Avto, a car assembly plant in Uсть-Kamenogorsk, was the first unique project in the history of independent Kazakhstan and a result of the innovative development strategy established by the President. There can be no doubt that new technology has arrived in Kazakhstan. The manufacturing line of the factory resembles a computerized mechanism, an ideal sequence of precise technological processes. Alexander Svadbin says that you can set your watch to the operation of the conveyor. We've been working since 2002 to gradually reach our current wide range of models, which number 17. We started with the VAZ make when our plant began operations. In 2005, Skoda was added, Chevrolet in 2007 and Kia in 2010. All the models we make are modern and meet the requirements of the car market. Prices start from $14,000 up to $60,000 or $70,000 for the Escalade. Of course, Kazakhstan is a long way from standing at the sidelines of progress, because we have the best models on our production line. Models which were introduced last year and this year. Our process is referred to as semi-knockdown. But you can't assemble a car with just a spanner and simple tools. Special equipment is needed that an ordinary motorist doesn't have. As for the quality of the assembly, I can assure you that our cars are definitely worth buying. There are a few reasons for this. First, our personnel are well trained specifically for this. Second, we've created all the right conditions for these people. You can see the conditions are very good. You can't work a person to the limit, so when we set the standard assembly utilization for an employee, we consider that he should work at a rate of 85% of his available working time. In this way, we get high efficiency and high quality. This is proven by global car industry practice. Thirdly, we have a multi-level control system to detect and eliminate defects. Dealing with the world's leading companies, we are learning a lot and integrating that experience within our mindset.
Живя в Казахстане, я, в принципе, никаким образом не почувствовал себя в чем-то обделенным, да. Были времена, когда массово уезжали из Казахстана, да, была такая попытка какая-то у меня, даже не попытка, а такие мысли, да. Но потом,
Living in Kazakhstan, I've never felt deprived of anything. During the difficult crisis in 2000, it was a hard time. Many people left, and I was also thinking about it. But it's not an easy step to take to move from your natural home. And at that moment, I was lucky to come to this enterprise. I saw the growth and great opportunities, and that the management were targeting the best results. I began working here, and I liked it so much that I've never thought of leaving since that time.
Мечта, наверное, для того такая, как у всех, чтобы вся моя семья была счастлива, чтобы I
have a dream which is for my family to be happy and for everyone to do what they like. I think we all have the opportunity to be engaged in something, to be useful not only for yourself and your family, but for the country as well. I have always liked the Japanese philosophy of Toyota. Do things not for yourself, but first of all for people. Later it will pay off. I believe this is true. That's how it should be. Countryside. Eastern Kazakhstan, the Katong-Karagay State National Nature Reserve. We are now in the Kazakh part of the Altai. The Altai is a region where the borders of 4 countries cross. To the left of us is Russia. Ahead is Mongolia and China is to the right. This countryside is home to all kinds of unique animals and plants. Just look around. We have deciduous and coniferous trees like silver fir and relic cedar. The animals here include bears, musk deer, foxes, wolves, and of course the unique wonder of nature, the noble deer. People say that only those who were born on this land can really appreciate its gift and use its power. Having become independent, the Kazakhs felt themselves to be the owners of their land for the first time during the last 300 years. Nurlan Tokhtarov is convinced that his native land is able to give health to people. And based on this principle, he developed a treatment method which uses ancient knowledge. His idea attracted his friends, and a whole team of like-minded people was created. Not far from our national park, the renowned Berel burial mounds can be found. These are the 2,000 or 3,000-year-old barrows of the ancient tribes of Sacs. During excavations, our archaeologists discovered the remains of people with ornamental decorations, with pictures of deer on them. It turns out that even in those times, people deified the deer. They knew about the unique features of these animals and their use for people's health. And in this area, the deer live in the wild countryside.
Физиология очень интересная. Какие должны происходить там именно процессы регенерации, оздоровления, чтобы в течение месяца получить вот такой рог. Это древние китайские.
Physiology is an amazing thing. Ancient Eastern healers knew how stag antlers could influence the process of recovery. They noticed the beneficial effect they had on people's health and began making medicines for treatment, prolonging people's lives and for rejuvenation. The situation we have today is as follows. 8 to 10% of people are permanently in hospitals and about 15% are in the boundary zone between health and disease. The majority, which is almost 70% of people, regard themselves as healthy. But they are just relatively healthy people who start taking care of themselves only when they feel ill. Our treatments are designed for this prevailing category of people.
Президент нашей страны Нурсултан Абишевич при посещении Катон-Карагайского района, при ознакомлении с оздоровительными методиками, высказал пожелание такое. Говорит, процедуры хорошие, но почему...
When President Nazarbayev visited Kazakh, he said, the procedures are very good, but why are they only for a chosen few? Every person in Kazakhstan who wants to take care of his health should have the possibility to come here.
Вот вы спрашиваете, какой совет дать казахстанцам? Ну, я думаю, что советы давать – это самое неблагодарное дело. Мы просто предложили бы. Приедьте на один из оздоровительных комплексов. Отвлекитесь от всего.
Welcome to Kazakh. Come here and just relax. Look at yourself from the outside. Think in isolation about what kind of person you are and what your main values are. Having been here for a few days listening to your soul, you will see that your attitude towards the world and the surroundings has changed. History. South Kazakhstan is the embodiment of the traditional spiritual searches of the Kazakh people and a living archive of Kazakh history. Unique cultural and architectural monuments of the period of the Great Silk Way remain here to this day. The people who lived here were in constant search of the truth and the meaning of life. Such questions as who we are, where we came from, and where our roots are. My father taught me this craft, and I put all my effort into improving this art and tradition, and then taught it to my children. I established the aim that wonderful folk crafts like making a jug out of clay would never be lost, and that we could keep this tradition and pass it on to our descendants. The potter's art and working with clay brings people together and teaches them to love and to raise the highest feelings in a person. It is a great pleasure to work with clay and with earth. Why is that? I can answer that we are all created from clay, from the earth, and we will return to the earth. We named our centre the Ethnographic Museum, and this is no accident. Kiluet means underground mosque. With the help of this museum, we want to popularize ancient Kazakh art and traditions. Here we show our visitors everything which is all ours, as they say, in the flesh. Working in the museum is our life. I think that life, art and traditions are all interconnected. It is not simply a job and not a service, of course. It is rather our mission to protect our ancestors' heritage and pass it on to future generations. And we should be really proud of our ancestors. They were geniuses. For instance, through his work, Haja Ahmet Yasawi left this bequest to us: never tire of performing good deeds or bringing peace. Why? I think he said this because it is only through goodwill that evil can be eradicated on earth. As for me, I can say one thing certainly. If I could, I would close all the armament factories. If all the soldiers in the armies planted trees or grew vegetables and grain instead of bearing arms, everyone would be satisfied and safe. We would eliminate hunger on the planet. Wouldn't that be wonderful? We should focus the spotlight on our art. Then we can save our world. Our ancestors left great wisdom for us. They said, "Oh, my great Creator, you can take everything from me, my wealth and fame, and even my children and my wife. I am ready to sacrifice everything on my path to you. But don't take my soul, my kindness, or my mercy." What does this mean? When your heart is full of kindness, it isn't possible to be cruel. Even something small seems big to a kind person. And the Kazakhs show their kindness through hospitality. They welcome everyone with open arms. They share their home, their knowledge and their art. If we follow this advice and pass it on to our descendants, we'll have the right to appeal on others to also be kind and creative. Where there is tolerance like we have with no division between nationalities, there are also no national problems. Tenge. The tenge is the national currency of Kazakhstan, a symbol of the state's independence and the basis of the financial system. One of its founders is Davlet Sembayev, one of the first members of the government of the independent Kazakhstan.
Финансовая система – это не только банки.
The financial system isn't just about banks and various brokerage companies working on the stock exchange, but also comprises the state budget, as well as a separate economic structure which is financially independent. I don't think there's any need to explain what the state budget is and what role it plays in the country.
Потому что вот первые годы, когда развалился Советский Союз, характерной особенностью бюджетной системы Казахстана было то, что Казахстан дотационный.
During the first years when the Soviet Union collapsed, the characteristic peculiarity of Kazakhstan's budget system was that we were a subsidized republic. We were financially dependent because the prices for the products that we delivered to other Union republics and exported abroad were our internal prices. They weren't enough, and our economy was based on the principle that the prices for raw materials should be cheap, which is why our national profit was small and didn't meet our needs. Kazakhstan was faced with the need to solve social problems, investment problems, and the construction of enterprises. The Kazakh Soviet Republic was the main source of raw materials, as the natural minerals of Kazakhstan formed the basis for the industries and economies of the whole Soviet Union region. In addition, all the high technology and industrial bases was established beyond Kazakhstan's borders. Profits from exports were collected in Moscow. This was the policy of the Union. Within Russia, there were a few different attitudes to this. Some thought that Kazakhstan was not worthy of being heard, and that there's no need to consider Kazakhstan. They have no choice. They will come begging to us. There was another opinion supporting integration. However, President Nazarbayev has been fulfilling his policy to maintain economic relations with former Soviet Union republics since 1991. We managed to agree on the creation of a single ruble zone.
договориться по созданию единой рублевой зоны. Как бы то ни было, все-таки вот Нурсултан Абишевич большой стратег, он говорит, давайте параллельно начнем.
However, Nursultan Abishevich is a great strategist, and he proposed the simultaneous development of a plan to introduce our own national currency. As a result, we held out, and the three countries of Uzbekistan, Russia and Kazakhstan remained in the ruble zone. Russia inked an agreement with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan that in the event that it introduced its own currency, it would notify us 3 months beforehand. However, it happened that on the Saturday, Chernomyrdin telephoned. The president spoke to him and then called me to say that Russia was establishing its own currency and that we had to decide for ourselves what to do. Within the short period of 20 years, Kazakhstan has managed to change its status from being just a raw materials supplier to being among the list of rapidly developing economies. Today, the natural resources of the country are working for the welfare of Kazakhstan's people. Due to the financial system, which was actually created from nothing, Kazakhstan has become the leader among the CIS and Eastern European countries. During the last 20 years, the gold and foreign currency reserves of Kazakhstan, which represent a financial guarantee, has increased 100 times.
И золотовалютный резерв, когда начинали, у нас 0 был.
When we started, our gold and currency reserves were 0, and the savings bank had nothing. When I left the National Bank, it was in '96, we had only $750 million, that's all. And now it's about $72 to $73 billion. During the years of independence, the country has made another very important step, which cannot be measured by the amount of gold reserves or the volume of natural resources. It has brought up and educated a generation of professionals who are able to manage the economy and govern the country. I'm absolutely happy about the future of Kazakhstan, because those young people who are now, let's say about 30, will serve their country and manage the state. They are our future, and I am confident in this generation. Culture. Aygul Shamshidenova is the representative of a new generation of Kazakhstan people. For her, professionalism is a quality that can change not only people, but everything around them as well. Her passage through life in the arts was provided by such prominent figures as Nadia Sharipova, Zhania Albakirova and Yelena Obraztsova. Aygul's voice is unique, and by way of an exception, she was enrolled without any formal musical qualifications into the best European musical school, the Vienna Conservatory.
Моя мама, наверное, играет самую большую роль в моей жизни, поскольку
My mum plays the most important role in my life. She recognized my talent and began to develop it. I was a small girl and I was more interested in playing on the street with other children than in singing. My mum came with me to every competition and took me to the school of Zhana Albakirova, and then she went to Moscow and Vienna with me. She finds teachers for me absolutely everywhere and is always worrying about me.
Конечно, отец нас очень сильно поддерживал, любил, был самым лучшим отцом в мире.
Of course, my father loved us very much and supported us. Unfortunately, he died tragically. But my family is with me, my younger brother and sister.
Братишка, сестренка, они всегда меня ждут, всегда поддерживают. Когда я уехала в Москву, мне было 16 лет.
When I went to Moscow, I was 16, all alone and so far away. This was a watershed moment in my life, when it seemed that I was abandoned and completely alone. Now I understand that my mum wanted to show me that there is the lesson of life, and that I must learn that too.
Когда я поступала в Венскую консерваторию, это был, наверное, самый страшный, самый сложный период моей жизни, потому что мне было 17 лет. Я очень сильно переживала, и произошло такое, что...
When I went to the Vienna Conservatory, I was 17 and I was so worried. It so happened that during my exam I was singing and my notes were all over the place. I was accompanied by a Chinese girl. I was shocked. She continued playing and I didn't know how to sing the aria to the end. And at that moment I recalled the words of my teacher, Nadia Abdrakhmanova Sharipova. She said, "Whatever happens, you must continue singing to the end. Just stand there and sing." and I sang it. I picked up my notes and left. This was one of the most difficult arias. Yelena Obraztsova wrote on my notes, "Incredibly high tessitura, well done." They told me people in Kazakhstan have a very nice tone of voice. This voice could have come from somewhere in Italy. And I know all the students here who sing in the opera have similar voices. All Kazakh girls have similar voice tones. In Europe, they're jealous of our cheekbones. It turns out that this helps to improve the tone of the voice.
Потом все очень завидуют нам за то, что у нас немножко есть скулы. Это очень тоже помогает к окраске голоса. Когда я стою на сцене, когда я пою, я не знаю, что это.
When I stand on the stage and sing, I have this. I don't know what it is. Maybe excitement. I have such a strong feeling. When I start to sing, it's as if my voice comes out on its own, and I am completely absorbed in the song. The sea. Kazakhstan has been generously adorned with natural resources, one of the most precious of which is the Caspian Sea. This is a unique body of water. It is the maritime gateway to Kazakhstan. Once a small domestic port, Aktau is now a large trading hub, which handles 9 million tons per year. High-tonnage sea juggernauts are completely helpless here without the help of the Zheniz tug. Its captain, the well-known Aktau sea dog, Alexander Sitin, has travelled all the world's seas and oceans, but his destiny is linked to his favourite Caspian.
The
refurbishment of our fleet is necessary. It is impossible to unload high-tonnage vessels without a tower. The port purchased Zheniz because the freight turnover and the number of large ships being handled continues to grow. It was constructed at a Dutch shipyard. It's a wonderful steamer, powerful and easy to handle. I remember when we worked on Russian ships during Soviet times. The engines were so bad that the mechanics were busy with them all the time. But with this, there is a high level of automation. I can sit here and control it on my own. I also remember what the port was like at that time. The quay and everything around it was underwater and broken. Our team in the 70s was only 100 people. There weren't many ships at all, as the freight turnover was small, of course. They transported only oil. And now the port has been completely modified and has such wonderful moorings and equipment. There are also many more workers now. About 700 people work at the port today. And now the freight turnover is so large that we work around the clock handling ships. They enter one after the other. In this respect, the port has certainly become a major enterprise. Now it is the largest port on the Caspian Sea. Vessels leave from here to go to the Mediterranean, the Black Sea and Russia. Earlier they only arrived here from Astrakhan, but now they come from St. Petersburg and other Russian cities. We export a lot of metal to Iran. This has never happened before. It's clear that the country is improving. We can see it growing rapidly. Take a look at the construction, even at the example of the port, and such good equipment. Earlier we did almost everything by hand. We had just 2 rusty cranes, broken loaders, but now everything is automatic. It's nice to see the country growing, as I consider myself to be a Kazakhstan person. Our team is very good, we're like a family. Later, come-and-go types of people won't come here, because this is a place where you have to do real work. My youngest son is following in my footsteps. He's 21. I am Alexander Anatolievich, and he is Anatoly Alexandrovich. He is graduating from the Astrakhan branch of the Ushakov Novorossiysk Academy. Today he is obtaining his degree in maritime engineering engineering. When he just entered the university, he promised he would graduate with honors. I'd like to wish everyone the possibility to live in peace. I want Kazakhstan to remain clear of conflict, as it does now, which is why we live here in friendship. Live peacefully. What else could you wish for? Our children are growing up. Metal. We can compare metal to man. It has a strong character like a man. Metal is liquid at first, and man is small and unprotected when he is born. He needs education, protection. He knows nothing. He is soft and helpless. He becomes strong as he grows. The same is true about metal. It becomes like the one who controls it, the person who controls the metal melting. Temirtau is the heart of industrial Kazakhstan. This town is based on the tradition of being used to operate on a large scale. The largest milling plant in Central Asia for the production of rolled metal, ArcelorMittal Kazakhstan, is located here. It is known as the Karaganda Metallurgical Plant, or Karmet. It is also known as the place where the President, Nursultan Nazarbayev, started his career. Our plant was built from the mid-50s to the early 60s. The blast furnace was started up first, followed by the commissioning of the Siemens Martin plant. Young communists from all over the Soviet Union were sent here to take part in the construction. People made friends here. They built and created both the plant and the town simultaneously. The whole metallurgy of Kazakhstan and the heart of it lies in Temirtau. The process itself for making molten steel or cast iron is very complicated, consisting of many factors. That is why I think when our president worked here, this certainly strengthened him. This gave him the right attitude to people and formed his worldview. The industrial giant has also been subject to large-scale refurbishment. Today, the most up-to-date global technology in steel smelting is being used, and thus the product manufactured is in high demand on the world market. ArcelorMittal has achieved a lot. This is now practically a new plant that can compete on the world market. There is continuous steel pouring, a tin plating department, a painting section, a 7-stage coking battery, and the reconstruction of blast furnaces. Everything is aimed at improving finished product quality and providing safe working conditions, with a lot of attention being paid to safety regulations. A large project is currently underway, including the installation of gas exhaust ducts and cleaning up of the converter plant, which will significantly decrease emissions and provide a pollution-free zone around the town.
Человек должен совершенствоваться и что-то созидать. То, что человек создает, когда он видит результаты своего труда.
People should improve themselves and create something. When people create and can see the results of their activity, it gives a big incentive, spiritual satisfaction, and financial rewards, of course. And when you enjoy what you've created, I think that this is the best achievement that you can make. When you're involved in creation, you know the value of the words that you hear from the TV. When you make comparisons and they coincide, you see that this is the work that we all do. This is what the whole of our country is achieving. The country as a whole should have the same goal, to move ahead, achieve its aims, and most importantly, to have peace, and for every person should feel comfortable in our country. Oil. Western Kazakhstan is sacred for Kazakh people. It is the land of Kazakh heroes, poets and governors. It is a land with a great history. And today major policies are formed here. Enormous reserves of oil in the Tengiz field have made the region a center of the world economy. And today Kazakhstan is not simply a supplier of raw materials, but an independent state whose resources work for the welfare of its people. The main figures here were the founding fathers. Their names have now gone down in history as they drilled the first oil borehole in the Tengiz field 20 years ago.
Запомните все эти лица хорошо, внимательно.
Абу-Газип Мухит, начальник смены ТИЦа, ведущий технолог Джакиев Анвар.
The history of the oil industry in Kazakhstan started over 100 years ago. Recently, we celebrated 20 years since Tengiz started up. In 2009, we celebrated 30 years since the discovery of the Tengiz field. Our history is very rich. The 20 years of Tengiz and Tengiz Chevroil development are closely linked with the history and development of our republic. On April the 6th, 1991, we started the first borehole. 20 years have passed since then, and my life, as well as the lives of those who started the Tengiz exploration, have changed a lot. In 1993, the first wave of foreign specialists arrived, and local specialists could always find a common language with them. It is to the merit of the first group of foreign specialists that they tried to understand our mentality, our traditions and culture. Kindness and hospitality are characteristic of the Kazakh people. We treat other people the way they treat us, and we are always friendly to those who we host on our land. Maybe this was what helped us understand each other. We had to learn and take the best of foreign experience in order to further apply it in practice.
Приходилось учиться, надо было брать по возможности лучше, изучать, применять.
The oil workers consider the main achievement of the first 20 years of independence to be the establishment of the foundation for a stable economy. A new oil refinery appeared on the map of Western Kazakhstan, which enables the export of not just crude oil, but also finished products of global quality standards. Tengiz is just the first plant in a chain of large oil production facilities in Kazakhstan. Earlier, there was nothing here except farms, villages and pasture land. Then, one day, they found oil here. And now, as you can see, everything has changed. Oil is our welfare and wealth, the wealth of our country. This is why we all work hard in order to provide prosperity and wealth for the country. If everyone here does what he can, this will be like a brick in the common prosperity wall of our country. Due to oil, we prosper. This is a fact. We export it both to the east and the west, and our country is also recognized because of the oil.
Мұнайдың бүгінгі таңда біздің республиканың алдында атқарып тұрған рөлі өте жоғары деп ойлаймын. Неге десеңіз, осы мұнайдың арқасында біздер осы мұнайды шетелге шығарып, біздің мұнайды алмай жатқан жер жоқ, мысалы Еуропаға кетіп жатыр. Осы нефтің, мұнайдың арқасында біздің елді танып жатыр деп ойлаймын. Біздің елді бүткіл Еуропа, басқа шетелдің барлығы осы нефтің арқасында бізді танып жатыр, Қазақстан ел екенімізді. Бұл бізге біздің болашағымызды ашып беріп жатыр, біздің экономикамызды көтеруге көмектесіп жатыр. Мысалға, осыдан 20 жыл бұрын осы айналадағы Атырау қаласын алатын болсақ, оның сүтіне кішкене қиындау еді, қазіргідей емес, қазіргі сүтіне өте тым жақсы. Қарағанда, арнасында барғанда көзім тойып
For example, do you remember our city Atyrau about 20 years ago? Dirt, poorly developed infrastructure, no construction and so on. And now just look at this wonderful city. I was born here and my parents were born here. They were oil workers too. After graduating, we also returned to our native city, and we'll never leave it. We have every reason to be proud of it, to be proud of our prospering country. Land. This word means such a lot to people. Land is like a mother. It is fertile, generous, and is ready to give the best it has to its children. If the land is gracious, it gives birth to extraordinary people, people with big hearts. The Akhmetov family is from Kostanay. Pensioner Ildos Khaziyevich and Lydia Yakovlevna fostered 7 children from the local orphanage. Kostanay is my native land. I grew up in the village of Amangildi. I was the 15th child in my family. There was a famine and our father brought us to the village in order to bring us up here. And my grandma lived in Uralsk, and when I visited her I met my future husband. He was on military duty at Baikonur and came to visit his uncle in Uralsk. We met and later we married. We had 3 sons who all grew up and left. So we decided to go to the Rudny orphanage and take 3 children. And they showed 7 children to us and said, "Take your choice." And we thought they aren't just objects that we can choose from. And my husband said that if you can make 3 plates of soup, you can make 7. So we took them all. We didn't choose based on who was healthy or who was ill. They went to the nursery school and then to school. We took them when they were small children. Our youngest is in the 3rd form now, but at that time she was 2 years old. The oldest, Aysalu, is 8, Timur is 3, and Rada is 7. She was very ill, she limped and had 3 operations on her legs. Now she's recovered and everything is fine. These children have never seen their parents. I want to say one thing. If each family in Kazakhstan takes 1 child from an orphanage, then there will be no need for orphanages in Kazakhstan. Kazakh people have a great saying: a house with a lot of children is like a bazaar, and a house without children is like a graveyard. I have only one wish, which is to be healthy into our old age, so that we can raise these children and give them a good education. They will decide themselves what profession to choose, whether they will be doctors or teachers or combine harvester drivers. They'll choose for themselves. But they always say that despite getting old, you never abandon your children. My children are good. But people often ask me why we took Kazakh children, as we are not Kazakhs. However, I was born in Kazakhstan. This is the land of my home. And these children are the closest things in the world to me. Kazakhstan is not our future, it is our present. I look out and think that the grain is so nice. We'll have a good crop. The children can see it too, not only with their eyes, but they can feel it in their heart, that we will have a good crop. And it's the same about children. The kind of people they'll be depends on the way we raise them. It doesn't matter what trade they choose. The most important thing is what kind of people they are. The sky. Kazakhstan is the 9th largest country in the world. 2,725,000 square kilometers require defense, both from the land and from the air. During its years of independence, Kazakhstan has solved one of the principal state challenges, which was the provision of defense. The country can now be proud of its army, which is the best in the region. Special pride of the armed forces is its aviation. Within the last 20 years, the Kazakhstan army has trained high-level professionals.
Для меня небо лично. Каждый мой полет, каждый мой вылет, это как будто я заново рождаюсь.
For me personally, the sky and each of my flights is like being born again. I enjoy flying so much that I always try to be in the air as often as possible.
Меня зовут Кайрат. Я родился в советское время в семье.
My name is Kairat. I was born during the Soviet Union into a large family. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm the youngest of the brothers. Like all Soviet children, I dreamt of becoming a pilot or an astronaut. The sky was the greatest dream for me. My parents agreed and I entered the Suvorov school after finishing in the 9th form. Then I graduated from the Krasnodar Military Aviation Institute. I started flying in 1999. For each pilot, a plane is a living being, even though that may sound strange. Before sitting behind the yoke, each of us goes up to the plane to talk to it. Muslims say, "In the name of Allah." You should feel the plane because although they are all one model, they all have their own features and their own character. Each flight can be perfected on simulators. Earlier, these were just ordinary television screens. Now the simulators have all-round visibility of 360 degrees, and as well as perfecting piloting methods, we can perfect our tactical flight, lock into aerial targets as well as ground targets. We have such a notion as forward modeling. That is, everything we are going to do in the sky in real planes should first be simulated on the ground, and put through a practice flight to work out the position of each pilot, what angles we use to go into a turn, and what distance should be maintained so that we keep within the safety margin. Regardless of this, we should also accomplish our military objectives. If you look at this from the outside, it looks like we're small children playing with aeroplanes. But this is our life, one of our elements of preparation. As for the flights themselves, the pilot and the plane are both elements of a single system. This system consists of a lot of elements, and the whole flight and the quality of the flight as well as the accomplishment of the military mission depends on each of them. This includes the ground services, which are responsible for the organization and provision of the flight. The quality of our flight depends on the accurate work of every officer who operates at his working place. It's not just about sitting in a plane and starting the engine. The engineers and technicians work day and night to prevent failures. You see, an aeroplane is not the same as a car. You can't stop to mend it if it breaks down. This is why there should be no failures, as this is what the life of the pilot depends on, as well as the lives of those who are on the ground. As for my family, I'm married and I have 3 daughters. My wife and my children clearly understand what profession I have. There are both day flights and night flights. Sometimes I go to sleep at 6 p.m. or sometimes at 6 a.m. That is why my family understands and supports me. Each time I fly, my wife sees me off and meets me no matter what time it is. And when I fly above the city where my family lives, I look at it from above with special tenderness. I know and I am sure that my family will always support me and love me. And I am proud to be a citizen of Kazakhstan, proud of our president, and I think his policy is right. We fully support him. A lot of things are being done for the people of Kazakhstan. Large sums of money are being allocated for military equipment. As you can see, our planes are new. On behalf of myself and on behalf of the air military forces, I can say, live, be happy, work and love each other. Love the people around you. And the Air Force will do everything that is required, everything whether possible or impossible, in order to keep the integrity and safety of our country and protect it. Our borders are securely under lock and key. I'm sure our sky is protected. Astana. To build a city within a decade is an achievement that not many people can be proud of. Astana is a city of hope for the achievement of a worthy future through the realization of its talent and potential and by being useful for the nation. It is also hoped that other cities will be as beautiful and modern, and the country will be able to demonstrate its humanity through striving for peace, spirituality and creativity.
Все мы были свидетелями пройденного Казахстаном пути от экономического коллапса, связанного с развалом Советского Союза, до
We have all witnessed the way that Kazakhstan has passed along the path from economic collapse due to the collapse of the Soviet Union to the impressive achievements that we have reached today. And our young capital is the best evidence of this. Astana is one of the greatest ideas of the head of state and one of the larger scale projects of the independent Kazakhstan. We can say that Astana is the real embodiment of the future of Kazakhstan. The Astana Prosperity Program can be seen as the prosperity of the whole of Kazakhstan. All those people who come to Astana for the first time and see that the project, which had earlier seemed impossible, has been implemented, they leave with great faith in their future and a real desire to create. This is very important for our country. Today, Astana is a city of young people, the average age of which is 30 years. The characteristic of the young is to dream. They are bold, and they usually roll up their sleeves to make their dreams come true. In this regard, Astana truly is a dynamic city. New projects in the capital are designed with a view to the next century. The city is already creating facilities for the citizens of Kazakhstan who were born in this new phase of history, as well as those who haven't been born yet. Astana is optimistic about the future and is striving to take a distinguished place in global civilization. This is where its power and attractiveness lie.
И, безусловно, очень важным жизненным ресурсом любого города.
It goes without saying that the most important resource of the life of any city, and Astana is no exception, is people. People's intelligence, desires, incentives, imagination and creative skills are regarded as a strategic resource. In summary, we can say that it is the creative potential of people that defines the success of any city. During the 20 years of the new history of Kazakhstan, over 1 million babies have been born. Between 100 and 170,000 Kazakhstan children are born every year. That's the population of an entire town. They are the ones who will build the future. The main thing that the country has done within the last 20 years is to bring up a generation of experts, passing knowledge and experience onto them. Our most valuable asset is our people, unique and talented, of various professions and nationalities, every day creating their and our common future.
Я глубоко в сердце храню свою страну и всеми силами не дам пойти ко дну. Таких, как я, много, посмотри вокруг. Здесь я родился и с пути не сойду. Своим блеском манят другие страны с экранов, но ни одна из них не даст теплоты, я знаю. Когда улетаю, я сильно скучаю. В гостях хорошо, но дома лучше засыпаю. В твоих глазах есть искра, сохрани ее. Не потеряй себя, ведь это все твое. Верь душой, сделай лучше свою страну, чтоб идти вперед, подняв голову. Хватит жить абстрактно или жить в рамках, каким ты видишь себя и свое завтра. Готов ли ты творить